Which of the following is not true? A. 4 people are responsible for all of the anti-venom in Taiwan. B. The Northern White Rhinoceros is functionally extinct. Or C. Vaquitas are a kind of Mexican seafood dish. I guess, yeah, one of those is incorrect and the other two are correct. Keep listening to Formosa Fauna to find out which. Spend the next 20 minutes feeding your brain with Formosa Fauna so you can become smarter than all of your friends. Every Friday is Formosa Fauna Friday. Hello, I'm Tristan Hildebrand, the voice of Formosa Fauna. I love animals and I love talking about them. If you're even remotely curious about the animal kingdom, you're in the right place. We're going to talk about, today, snake breeding in Taipei, 10 of the most critically endangered species in the world. Please stick around for that one. The world's rarest marine mammal, and, of course, the scientist of the week. Let's dive right in. Hidden behind the scenes of Taiwan's public health system is a facility most people never see. It's a snake breeding center in Taipei that helps save lives across the island. Inside, more than 100 venomous snakes are carefully raised and monitored for one serious purpose: producing the anti-venom used to treat snake bites throughout Taiwan. According to the Taiwan Centers for Disease Control, the center currently houses 121 venomous snakes whose venom helps supply hospitals nationwide with life-saving treatments. Running the operation is a surprisingly small team. Chen Yafen, head of the CDC's Vaccine Development Division, says just 4 staff members are responsible for nearly everything. Just 4 people are responsible for feeding the snakes, maintaining their habitat, collecting venom, and helping produce the anti-venom that doctors rely on when someone is bitten. Very small team. Also, if you have ever known somebody who had a pet snake, you know that they don't just eat like cat food and dog food, right? They eat like frozen mice and rats. So Taiwan's environment makes this work especially important. With Taiwan's warm temperatures, high humidity, and mountainous terrain filled with forests and streams, the island provides an ideal habitat for snakes. Encounters between humans and venomous snakes are not uncommon, and when the bite occurs, antivenom remains the most effective treatment. The facility keeps 6 of Taiwan's most commonly encountered venomous species. Among them, the Taiwan habu is the most numerous, with 36 individuals living at the center. The snakes are housed in 3 carefully controlled breeding rooms designed to mimic their natural habitats. Temperatures are kept between 22 and 28 degrees Celsius, while humidity levels stay above 50% to keep the animals healthy and comfortable. Each enclosure includes hiding spots, soft bedding, and dim lighting to recreate the conditions snakes prefer in the wild. Even the flooring has been carefully chosen. Coconut fiber mats, they're supposed to help the reptiles shed their skin more easily. Some of the snakes didn't start their lives in captivity, though. Animal protection authorities sometimes capture venomous snakes in the wild and transfer them to the center. Once they arrive, the snakes undergo a 90-day quarantine period and a full health check. They are treated for parasites and implanted with microchips so staff can track them throughout their time at the facility. One of the most delicate tasks at the center is the venom extraction. Before the process begins, veterinarians check each snake to make sure it's healthy enough. Then, during the extraction, handlers carefully guide the snake to bite onto a wax-covered container. Gentle pressure on the venom glands causes the snake to release its venom, which is then collected and later used to produce the antivenom. Even in such a carefully managed environment, the work is not without challenges. If a snake dies, veterinarians perform an autopsy to determine the cause before the body is cremated. The findings help staff improve care for the rest of the animals. Over time, the team has also refined how it cares for certain species. Russell's vipers, for example, were once difficult to keep alive at the facility because the temperature and humidity were not ideal. By working with researchers from National Pingdong University of Science and Technology, the center developed improved care methods that have significantly increased the snake's survival rates. While most people will hopefully never need anti-venom, Chung says it's important to know what to do if a snake bite occurs. She advised people to remember the snake's appearance if possible and seek medical attention immediately. Removing rings or watches near the bite site can also help prevent complication if swelling occurs. But she warns against some common myths. Applying ice or trying to suck out the venom, she says, can actually make injuries worse. There, you heard it right from the source. And when I previously interviewed somebody here on this show, I remember them saying that actually Taiwan isn't really home to any dangerous snakes. So even if they do have venom and they might cause some reaction on the site, usually it's not going to be too deadly. So I am pretty interested in these various species that are being held at the facility and used to produce anti-venom, and I'm curious how many of those occur in the wild. And if they don't occur in the wild, then how would somebody in Taiwan get bit by them? Is this like snakes on a plane? So many questions. Anyway, thanks to the quiet work happening inside this unusual facility, Taiwan's hospitals remain prepared for a danger that still exists in the island's forests and mountains, ensuring that if a snake bite happens, the treatment needed to save a life is already waiting. Each year on March 3rd, World Wildlife Day calls to attention the extraordinary diversity of life on Earth and the urgent responsibility we share to protect it. As written by World Animal News, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, lists thousands of species as critically endangered on their red list, meaning they face an extremely high risk of extinction in the wild. Among that list, they've compiled 10 species that are some of the most imperiled on Earth. The top 10. Although, honestly, it's hard to pick a top 10, but for them, they picked these 10. Just for this year's World Wildlife Day. So they start with the Sunda pangolin, home to Southeast Asia. Covered in protective keratin scales, the Sunda pangolin is the most trafficked mammal in the world. The species is hunted for its scales, used in traditional medicine, and killed for its meat. Despite international trade bans, illegal trafficking networks continue to devastate wild populations. Because pangolins are solitary and elusive, exact numbers are very difficult to estimate, but declines have been severe. Taiwan also has a pangolin population, albeit of a different species. But there is one kind of orangutan with only about 800 individuals left in the world, the Tapunali orangutan, home to the Indonesian island of Sumatra. Identified as a distinct species in 2017, the Tapunali orangutan is the rarest great ape in the world. It inhabits a small, fragmented forest ecosystem in Sumatra that is under pressure from mining, infrastructure projects, and deforestation. Orangutans reproduce slowly. Females give birth only once every 7 to 9 years, making population recovery especially challenging. Moving on to the next animal, fewer than 400 North Atlantic right whales live in the North Atlantic Ocean. They migrate along heavily trafficked shipping lanes and fishing grounds. Entanglement in fishing gear and vessel strikes are the leading cause of death. With slow reproduction rates, females give birth only once every 3 to 10 years, making population recovery also very difficult. Stronger protective measures are urgently needed to prevent further decline for the North Atlantic right whales. We move on to the next animal. With about 250 individuals left, the New Zealand kakapo is a flightless nocturnal parrot with a charming personality and remarkable longevity. Introduced predators nearly wiped the species out. Today, every individual is monitored, named, and carefully managed. The kakapo population has gradually recovered thanks to such science-driven efforts. Moving on to the next animal. In Nigeria and Cameroon walks the rarest gorilla subspecies in the world, the Cross River gorilla, with between 250 to 300 individuals left. Living in small, isolated forest patches along the Nigeria-Cameroon border, its populations are fragmented and genetically vulnerable. Logging, agricultural expansion, and hunting threaten this species' survival. Intensive conservation work with local communities has been deemed critical to protecting the gorilla's remaining habitat and saving them from extinction in the wild. And yet, we continue to whittle down the numbers to the just 100 surviving Amur leopards left across Russia and China. The Amur leopard is one of the rarest big cats in the world, adapted to cold, temperate forests. Habitat fragmentation, poaching, and prey depletion severely reduced this stunning leopard's numbers. Conservation programs, anti-poaching patrols, and habitat protection have helped stabilize the population slightly, though, offering a decent amount of hope. However, the species remains critically endangered. China is home to another critically endangered species, a type of gibbon called the Hainan gibbon. With only 40 individuals remaining, the Hainan gibbon is the rarest primate on Earth. Confined to a single forest reserve on Hainan Island, its population once dropped to fewer than 10 individuals. Habitat destruction reduced its range to a fraction of its former size. Although their numbers have slowly increased in recent years, the species remains one of the most endangered on Earth. Back to Indonesia, with just about 20 individuals remaining, is the Javan rhinoceros, or Javan rhinoceros. Once roaming across Southeast Asia, this rhinoceros now survives only in Ujung Kulon National Park in Indonesia. Its entire global population lives in one location, making the species highly vulnerable to disease outbreaks, natural disasters such as tsunamis, and habitat encroachment. Strict protection has prevented poaching in recent years, but the rhino's extremely small population keeps the species on the brink of extinction. However, only 10 vaquita remain on Earth in the northern Gulf of California, making it the rarest marine animal on the planet. This small, shy porpoise is found only in a tiny region of Mexico's Gulf of California, and the vaquita's decline has been driven almost entirely by entanglement in illegal gill nets set for totoaba fish. Despite ongoing conservation efforts and international pressure, illegal fishing continues to be a serious issue in Mexico. Topping this list is the Northern White Rhinoceros, which has been deemed functionally extinct with just 2 females remaining. The Northern White Rhinoceros stands out as one of the most heartbreaking symbols of human-driven extinction. Poaching for rhino horn has decimated the population over 2 decades. Today, like we mentioned, only 2 females survive under round-the-clock protection. Scientists are working on advanced reproductive technologies using preserved genetic material, as natural recovery is no longer viable. The southern white rhinoceros may offer the only chance to revive the northern white rhino through in vitro fertilization. Many species are on the brink of extinction, and these 10 are a great representative of just how dire the situation is for those populations. But in fact, they are just a fraction of the thousands in this category. We just mentioned the vaquita as the world's rarest marine animal, as they're among those on the brink of extinction. The little porpoise wasn't even discovered until 1958, and now we may lose them forever. Vaquita are often caught and drowned in gill nets used by illegal fishing operations in marine protected areas within Mexico's Gulf of California. The vaquita has a large dark ring around its eyes and dark patches on its lips that form a thin line from the mouth to the pectoral fins. The top of the vaquita, called the dorsal surface, is dark gray. It has pale gray sides and its bottom is white with long light gray markings. With as few as, again, just 10 of them left, the species will become extinct without a fully enforced gillnet ban throughout their habitat, which the World Wildlife Fund is urgently working on to restore hope to the decimated population. What is the main concern? Again, gill nets used by illegal fishing operations, because nearly 1 out of every 5 vaquita gets entangled in gill nets and drowns, despite the fishermen intending to catch another marine species. However, some of these fishing operations are aiming to catch another banned fish, the totoaba, which is banned under CITES, a global agreement among governments to regulate or ban international trade in species under threat. But there's been a large demand for those totoaba fish because they have swim bladders, which are used in Chinese medicine. In Chinese medicine, there's a belief that the swim bladders are a cure to a variety of illnesses and diseases, leading to thousands of swim bladders being dried out and smuggled out of Mexico, often through the United States. Each pound of totoaba swim bladder is worth around $4,000, which is equivalent to half of a year's income from legal fishing activities, so there is definitely an incentive there. While the totoaba populations are being decimated by these illegal fishing operations, so are the vaquitas. Actually, in July 2016, then President Barack Obama and then President Enrique Peña Nieto of Mexico announced bilateral collaboration measures to protect the vaquita. As a follow-up, Mexico's National Institute of Fisheries and WWF Mexico established an international committee of experts to further develop and urgently implement vaquita-safe fishing technologies. The committee advises the Mexican government on improving fishing techniques not harmful to vaquita, including those that Mexico's National Institute of Fisheries and WWF Mexico have developed together. This independent committee is charged with improving existing vaquita-safe fishing technologies, such as the small trawl to collect shrimp and traps and other gear for fish to substitute gill nets, which are currently banned in vaquita habitat and in the upper Gulf of California, the only place on Earth where the vaquita exists. The committee is comprised of experts from Texas A&M University, NOAA Southeast Fisheries Center, Swedish University of Agriculture Science, and many, many more, making it truly an international effort. A protocol and guideline to catch shrimp with vaquita-safe technology is expected to be ready soon, per WWF. The Scientist of the Week. The Scientist of the Week is John Muir. Known as the father of national parks, John Muir is considered one of the most recognizable names in environmentalism. He was born in Scotland, but grew up in Wisconsin, where he'd later attend the University of Wisconsin, studying biology and developing an interest in nature. Not long after, Muir set his sights on wildlife conservation. He played a leading role in establishing national parks, including Sequoia National Park and Yosemite National Park. He also co-founded the Sierra Club, an environmental conservation organization. He believed humans should respect nature, so he pushed for wilderness preservation across the United States. The Sierra Club features one of his prominent quotes, "Of all the paths you take in life, make sure a few of them are dirt." Making it to the end of an episode makes you a Formosa Fauna friend. Thank you for tuning in, friend. See you next time for Formosa Fauna Fridays here on Radio Taiwan International.